Memory Code.
What's up, everybody? This is Memory Code. In this video, I'm going to show you how I used EQ on the drums from this beat. Let's get into it. What up, what up? Welcome to part 2 of how to make classic boom bap drums in Ableton. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, I would definitely recommend checking that out. I had originally planned on talking about EQ, saturation, compression, reverb, bit crushing, and width in this, but I realized that was way too much stuff, so I'm going to break that up a little bit and talk about just EQ in this one. Alright, so I'm going to start with the kick drum. For this, I'm going to be using a concept known as subtractive EQing, and that just means taking away or turning down the volume of frequencies as opposed to boosting or turning it up. And I feel like when I do that, it makes it a lot easier to mix the whole track. Just makes everything a lot more manageable. And then at the end of mixing, if I do feel like I need to boost certain things, I'll go back in and do it then. Just makes the whole process a lot smoother. Alright, so I'll solo the kick drum. Put EQ8 right on there. And you can see I already have this low pass filter on the drum rack, and that's cutting out a lot of the highs. I'm going to keep this high pass set to 30 Hertz, and that's going to just cut out some extra low end that I don't want. You can see I have some nice mid frequencies. Probably going to be keeping most of those so it cuts through. And then really I'm just looking for boxy and muddy frequencies between 100 and 400 Hertz. So I'm going to turn on filter point 2. Keep that set at a bell curve. Tighten up that Q. Start at about 400 and just sweep through and see if I can find any boxy or muddy frequencies. And usually no matter what, if you boost the filter this much, it's going to sound crazy. So really when I do this, I'm just looking for an amplified version of frequencies that jump out at me that I want to get out of there. So yeah, right around 250. It's pretty muddy. So I'll just pull that out of there a little bit. And keep going. Get that out of there. Pretty ringy. I'll turn this to a bell curve. Pretty muddy in there, so I'll just pull that out a little bit. And I'll just go back around 350 or 400 and make sure I didn't miss anything. Little ringy in there. Just pull that out a little bit also. And then I'll check it with the EQ off. So yeah, it's a lot more controlled. You can see I just cut out a bunch of those low mids. I I kept that thump in the low end, and I kept a lot of this mid-range. So when I run this through compression, that thump is going to be amplified and that mid-range is going to be amplified. But this muddiness and boxiness won't be as much. So the overall sound will be tighter, but it'll still hit really hard. Alright, next I'll do the snare. I'll solo it. Jag an EQ8 on there. I have this high pass on the filter on the drum rack. I'll keep this high pass on EQ8 and I'll move it up a little bit just to cut a little bit more lows. I want to make sure I leave that fundamental harmonic right there. That's where a lot of really good knock comes from. And mainly for the snare, I'm going to be looking for harsh frequencies between 2 and 5K. A lot of times in that range, there can be a lot of harshness. So I want to make sure I get that out of there. So start with the bell curve, boost up that gain, tighten up that Q a little bit, and just sweep through and see what I can find. And like I was saying before, when you boost a filter point this much, it's always going to sound pretty crazy. So when I do this, I'm just looking for amplified versions of frequencies that I want to get out of there. So yeah, right around there, it's starting to get a little harsh. You can hear it, it's almost wanting to feed back. So I'll just pull that down a little bit. And keep going. Pretty harsh right in there. Pull that down a little bit. All right. That one's really jumping. You can see that's a little below 2K, but it's pretty resonant and still pretty harsh. So yeah, I'll take that one down even a little more than the other ones. Just want to check that mid-range a little bit. Sounding like it might be a little boxy around there. And I'll just go check around 4,500, maybe around 5K again. So yeah, it's a little harsh around there. Not too bad. I'll just pull that down a little bit. I'll check it with the EQ off. So yeah, those frequencies that I cut now, they're really jumping out at me. With the EQ on, it's a lot smoother. There's still one little thing that I'm hearing. I'm wondering if it's... Just might need to open up that Q a little bit. Yeah. So you can see these cuts I made, getting that harshness out of there. So now when I run this through saturation and compression, the frequencies that I want will be amplified, and overall I'll get a smoother snare sound. Alright, next I'm going to EQ the hi hat. Solo this one, throw an EQ8 on there. And you can see I got this high pass cutting out a lot of the lows. I'm going to keep that on just to help out a little bit. And then for the hi-hat, I'm going to be looking for, again, harsh frequencies between 2 and 5K. Little resonant right in there. But not really, not bad. A little bit right in there. Check back around 350, 3500 or 4K. Yeah. So yeah, that one really didn't need much. But I'll do this open hi-hat too. Solo it. Throw an EQ8 on there. And you can see I got this high pass. Cutting out a lot of the lows. I'm going to use this one also. So start around 5K, boost it up, and see what I can find. Yeah, right there, it's pretty harsh, almost wants to feed back. Alright, keep going. Right in there. Really harsh. Hearing a little whistle around here. Right there. Get that out of there. Still hearing something else too. I'll turn this to a bell curve. Keep going. Yeah, right around there. I'm just go double check back around 4500 or 5K. Make sure I didn't miss anything. It's a little resonant right in there. Pull that down. There's one. I feel like I need to pull down a little more. Yeah. So you can see all those cuts I made. But when I turn it off, you really hear all that harshness. Those whistles and resonant frequencies with the EQ on. It's a lot smoother. So again, when I run this through saturation and compression, those frequencies that I want are going to be amplified, and these harsh frequencies won't be. So overall, it's just going to be a smoother hi-hat sound. All right, so that's it for part 2 of how to make classic boom bap drums in Ableton. Thanks a lot for checking it out. Hit me in the comments if you have any questions. And I'm available for one-on-one Ableton lessons. So check out the comments for a link to get that scheduled. And don't forget to check out my book, The Breakbeat Bible, which has a lot more information about classic drum breaks and beats that are good for chopping. Peace and much love.